Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon and welcome to another reset update. Now, apologies for taking a break, but I had a holiday weekend that I had to travel for, and honestly just working on a Tuesday and not driving on a Thursday, it was honestly very hard to get everything done. So apologize for the week I was gone, but getting right back into the swing of things, I do already have a dev stream video that is covering some of the important topics from the dev stream. It is less than 10 minutes and the dev stream itself is somewhere near half an hour 45. So if you just want a compressed version of a heads up to what to expect for the next act of Echoes, there is that present. But getting into what we have currently, there is a Bungie Day fundraiser that is still going on that does carry some in-game rewards, so if you wanted to keep track of that just in case, there is still time. And there is still time for Iron Banner, as if you did not know, Iron Banner is not running for 2 weeks, and the current active game mode is Tribute, which if I recall is Supremacy, where you have to pick up the crests from your fallen enemies, but you have to bank them in a specific region. From there, it is also bonus Crucible ranks, according to our weekly reset details. So from that, it is better time to farm out Iron Banner, as in the past I've known Iron Banner to be running basically at the same time that like a boosted Gambit rep thing was going on, and there was no point in going hard because you couldn't grind out the 2 Crucible ranks at the same time. But speaking of grinding, the current GM Nightfall is the Disgraced, which I don't recall being that terrible for GM standards. It was definitely doable, although the weapon that's currently available is the Izume RR4, which while it is nifty in its own right, it isn't anything spectacular, especially when they added a new aggressive frame sniper in the raid that seems to have many good options that are all just better than Izume right now. From that point, getting into the broad Crucible details, we have for Crucible Labs, we have a Doubles Clash, which is 2v2 Clash, which sounds quite interesting considering Crimson Days isn't a thing, and this is the closest thing we're going to be getting to it. For the 6v6, of course, it is Iron Banner, but then there is Zone Control in addition to that, and for everything else, there is Elimination 3v3, Competitive 3v3, and the usual Rumble. Getting into the exotic mission rotators, the mission that's currently available is Vox Obscura, which is the Dead Messenger mission going back to Mars, mostly Cabal. Now, that weapon I wouldn't say is worth it. Sure, clean out the checklist, but the weapons from the Associate Season, there is a few Dead Ringers for Crucible and PvE situations, so I'd recommend getting any red board as you can from that. But speaking of red borders, the farming raid is actually Kingsfall, which of course means infinite attempts at Touch of Malice, infinite attempts at any red border for any specific encounter if you wish to farm it out, and of course that Master Mode is once again available for Kingsfall, so you can get access to the raid adepts that drop from each encounter if you wish to go for that. But speaking of farming in that same vein, it is the best dungeon to farm out for stats because it is the Grasp of Avarice, which of course has access to its master version to get infinite Artifice Armor, which it is a little bit easier to farm from here. It is still current, so it's still not exactly low health like Shattered Throne or Pit of Heresy for the bosses, but at the same time, it is probably the easier thing to farm out Artifice Armor for in the active season. Moving into the raid challenge for Salvation's Edge, it is the Balanced Diet, which, again, as these are still coming out, I'm not exactly sure, but thinking of it, I think it's 3rd encounter, if I'm remembering how many challenges have come by, possibly 4th encounter, but I haven't been keeping up to track on my Salvation's Edge details. But getting into the next bits for the raid challenges throughout the world, Crota's End is Equal Vessels. Root of Nightmares is Limited Torment, aka 1st encounter, and for Crota's End, I forget which Equal Vessels is. I think it is Omnigul, or not Omnigul, Irrehuge Challenge if I remember correctly, but Equal Vessels and the like. Vow to Disciple is Swift Destruction, which is 1st encounter, kill the abominations at the same time. Vault of Glass is Wait For It, which is Templar, basically kill him in 1 teleport. Deepstone Crypt is the Of All Trades Challenge, which is Nuclear Descent, aka 3rd encounter. Basically everyone has to do every roll in an encounter. Garden of Salvation is the Leftovers, which I forget what that one is, and Last Wish is Strength of Memory, which is the Riven Challenge, which if you actually manage to cheese it, is pretty much an automatic challenge clear. From there, as remainders, there is Legend, Dares of Eternity, which is Taken, Cabal, and Zydron. And from that is pretty much the broad stuff throughout the world. Now, getting into some more details, the season, of course, is developing, just to let you know. The next season, of course, will, or I would say the next act of the current active episode is going to happen next week, which Enigma Protocol is still rotating around. It and I forget what it's at currently. I'll have to double check myself after playing because it doesn't specify whether it's taken or not. But from that point as well, we will be getting seasonal battlegrounds just to keep you up to date on what to expect from the season. As well, though, with the Breach Executable, I actually didn't know this, Expert Mode has matchmaking. So if you wish to actually go for the Pinnacle, there is matchmaking available if you wish to get this done. Aside from that, the last thing I wanted to touch on is the usual bits, and that is Eververse and cosmetics. So there is still these Season of Arrivals flashbacks, so expect to see some of this stuff happening, or some of the stuff from Season 11 popping up in the store for Bright Dust. But if you wish to cut to the chase and get the armor set from the previous Battle Pass of the Associate Season, or the Wither Horde Rank 100 ornament from, again, that Associate Season, I'd take advantage of this while you can, because otherwise it will literally disappear forever and probably won't come back until the next time around that they do flashbacks. On the front page for Bright Dust, we have the Shifting Crossface, which it's a pretty cool looking shader, not gonna lie. It looks pretty solid, works with my armor at present at least. And you also have Copper Tone Patina, which is one of those ones that is a weird color scheme that I'm pretty sure people wear for the memes. I recall a Dado clip where he recommended this shader. Then for a transmat, we have Single Intercept, which is Black Armory Radiance, but orange. If you needed an example, my armor is weirding out. And for an ornament, we have the Noble Burden, which is, if I recall, the Assassin's Creed Associate Dead Man's Tale ornament, which does definitely clean it up and gloss it up, but it really doesn't add anything to the visuals aside from literally a color rescale and maybe, I think, these rivets along the barrel. But still a pretty good ornament nonetheless. You also have the Chomping Dance emote, which I believe is another one of those dances that I don't understand the reference from, or if it was from anything, but you know, it's another goofy little dance, and I'm sure you will be danced on in the Crucible for eventually. Into the main store. Getting through our flares and transmats, we have Lilac Bombast, which is very springtimey if you wanted to look like basically a field of lilacs. Deep Sea Jaunt, if you want to look a carbon fiber deep sea vehicle idea for your armor. Very good for Titans, I'd say, if you want to look a little bricky. Chitin Slate, which for the armor, it is an interesting color palette, but for weapons, I would recommend it, especially on individually a Fatebringer, as it blacks out the Fatebringer, and the glow is nothing but a solid red. On to Rustberry. This is a personal favorite of mine. I wear this on my Hunter all the time. It gives it just a good, clean leather look. Like, if you ever want to have your Hunter have an Old West leather, but instead of being old and worn, make it new and updated, this is what I would run for that. Into transmats, we have Illicit Transmat Effects, which is just another one of those transmats. Signal Intercept again, which we've already seen earlier in the video. And the Resurrected Shadow from Season of the Deep, which I believe is supposed to be just, what's the word? A Shadow Legion, or otherwise, Tormentor. For the main items across the store, we have the Samba Dance emote from Season of the Witch, which is, you know, just, again, another dance if you wanted to have a dance. And the Watching You emote from Season of the Drifter, which is that, literally just that, if you wanted that. And the Ket Shell from Season Defiance, which this kind of goes from an old Erector set homemade look shell, which it's very much TIE Fighter, but almost Ghost Shell, and also chibi. Then we also have the Grass Guzzler, which is a lawnmower sparrow. If you ever wanted to have a lawnmower sparrow, that does exist. Although that doesn't look so much lawnmower as a bush mower. And there's chainsaws on it. Yeah, that's definitely more tree than lawn. And we also have the Shining Cabriolet, which is a jump ship that is basically just to look like a, I guess, 1950s Corvette. I guess. I can't really compare to anything individually. And for a main item, we have the Necrosis ornament for the Recluse, which it is one of the two ornaments it has. Model-wise, I like the look compared to base, but then again, its color scheme is a little bit weirder, personally. Then again, everyone has their preferences. If you just want to rework the Recluse to have many more eyes than it had before, this is your chance for it. And lastly, as always, we have a Arbor Tree? Silver Trees? Tree of Silver Wings? I think that's the right word. But one of the Traveler Trees, that projection. From that point, we have reached the end of the reset video. Now, just a few clips. Again, I just wanted to make sure that I apologize for the absence last week. If anyone was looking forward to my videos, again, I tried to make sure that there was a heads up that I would be unavailable for that week. Aside from that, Actually, let me know in the comments if you watched this far and want the guide to my build right here. I used this in last week's GM's Warden of Nothing, and it took advantage of Ursa's and Unbreakable, and it had anti-champion across all 3 champions, and it worked out quite well. And it was really good at just spawning Sentinel Shields or defense walls all the time. Now, again, it's not prismatic, so I doubt many people are looking for non-prismatic builds, but let me know if you want to see this build in progress or how I made it. With that, my name is TheMadScorpyon. I will see you in the next video.